Hello children, let me welcome you to the virtual class of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher. Children, we are in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic and because of that we are not able to go to school, but that doesn't mean we are going to stop learning. So we are going to do many lessons which are very interesting from your textbook through the virtual class here. So let us do a lesson in English today. So children, let me welcome you back to the lesson that we were doing in standard 8th English last time. So you remember I told you we are going to do lesson number 4.5, a battle to baffle, which is going to be the last lesson in your textbook. And last time we started with the story and we left the story halfway. So today we will be doing part 2 of this lesson, children, and we will be completing the story, and after completing the story we will be doing certain exercises in vocabulary and grammar. So this is what we plan to do for today. But before we move on and start and complete the story, let us look at certain things that we have done last time. So we understood the background of the story and we looked at the main characters of the story. Now the story is in the form of a skit. What is a skit? A skit is a small and humorous, witty drama. So whenever there is a drama, there are some people or there are some characters who are associated with the drama. So here also we have certain characters. So let us look at the characters in this particular skit. So we have the main character of the skit, that is the hero of our story, Tenali Raman, and we saw that he is a witty poet and he was also a jester in the court of Emperor Krishna Deva Raya. After that, the next important character in this skit is the emperor himself, that is the Emperor Krishna Deva Raya, who is the emperor of the Vijaynagar Empire. And then we have another character in the story called Pundit Shahane. Now this entire story happened because of this character. So he is a highly learned visiting a scholar, that is a scholar who has come visiting or on a visit to the kingdom of Vijaynagar. And as a visitor, what does he do? He poses some challenges in front of the king, and that is how this entire episode comes up. And finally, we have another person who gives an important, you can say, twist to the story, and that person is the Mantriji or the chief minister of the king Krishna Deva Raya. So let us see how the story starts. So the story starts by Pundit Shahane arriving at the kingdom of Krishna Deva Raya. Now Pundit Shahane claims that he has mastered all the scriptures and he has won great renown all over India. And Mantriji, he brings Pundit Shahane to King Krishna Deva Raya. He introduces him, and then comes the twist in the story. As long as there is a scholar visiting a kingdom, it is a very good thing. But Pundit Shahane is a little bit of an oversmart person. He is a little proud. He's got a lot of, you can say, overconfidence. And therefore, what does he say? He challenges. So Pundit Shahane, he has come not to just visit the kingdom of King Krishna Deva Raya, but he has also come in order to challenge all the Pandits of the kingdom. Okay, and then you saw that he leaves posing a challenge to the king, and the king invites many of his Pandits in order to get into a debate with Pandit Shahane, but none of them are ready. And the king gets so angry that he gets ready to exile all the Pandits. It is at that time that one scholar suggests that they call this person on the screen that you see, that is Pundit Tenali Raman. Of course, Pundit Tenali Raman comes, he listens to what the king has to tell him, and what does he say in reply? He says, "Most certainly, your majesty, let me assure you that I shall not let you down. That is, I will make you proud and I will teach a lesson to that Pundit Shahane." Okay, and that is how these two learned people, they clash. Alright, now we stopped the video here last time when we discussed about how they are now about to begin the battle of the Baffle. So now let us see what happens. So our hero of the story, that is Tenali Raman, he holds up a book which has been tied with a rope, and there is a silken robe which is covering the book. He holds up the book and he starts his battle, or he starts his part of the debate. So let us see what he says. He says that let us debate on the virtues of the scripture Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana. Okay, so the very first thing, he's got a bundle with him. Okay, they have got he's got a big huge bundle which has been tied in a silken cloth, and now Tenali Rama picks up that bundle and he holds it up and he says, let us begin our debate by discussing the merits of the scripture Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana. So remember, he has not opened up the silk cloth. Okay, so there is a book inside the silk cloth, remember, and Pundit Shahane is not even able to see what is there inside it. He only is hearing the name of the book which Tenali Rama has said now. So what is the name of the book or the scripture? It is Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana. Now Pundit Shahane, he gets very taken aback. Alright, taken aback means very surprised, shocked. He says, what was that? And Tenali Rama repeats. He says, let us debate on the virtues of the scripture Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana. Now Pundit Shahane starts sweating and he says, I have read thousands of scholarly works in Sanskrit, but I have never heard of, what was the name? Tila Bandhana, something like that. How can I discuss its merits? He said, I have never even heard about a book like that. So how will I talk about the merits? And then he tells the king, he tells him, I give up 1,000 apologies. Your Highness, I have not read the scripture that Tenali Raman mentions. And then he says, I concede defeat. Concede means I accept defeat. Tenali Raman is the greatest of all scholars. And then he bows his head and he leaves the court. Now the emperor starts looking at Tenali Raman and he says, I am so proud of you and I am grateful to you for saving the reputation and honor of our great empire. I want to reward you, but before that, tell me what was the book that you were talking about. So he said, Raman, to what great work did you refer? Raman hears this and he starts laughing and he says, Maharaj, Til is sesame, Kashta is a stick. So Tilakashta refers to the sticks or stems of sesame seeds or plants that you see in my hands, pointing to the rope that is used to tie buffaloes. He says that is Mahisha means buffalo. Bandhana is a rope used to tie up something. So this is the Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana. That means Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana had nothing to do with any scripture. It was just 4 things that Tenali Raman had gathered and tied up into a bundle. Okay, and he just proudly announced the name. But Pundit Shahane was so proud, and Pundit Shahane was thought of himself as someone who knew everything, that he really got confused. Okay, so this story teaches us that we should always keep our mind open to learning new things. You should never arrive at a stage where you tell yourself and you tell others that I know everything and no one can teach me anything. So you should never arrive at that particular state of mind. You should always be humble. You should be willing to learn. You should be willing to accept other people's ideas. Okay? Only then you will be able to progress in life. If you have an attitude like Pundit Shahane's, then many a times pride always has a fall. If you are very proud, somewhere or the other in life you will get insulted. Okay, so this was a story of Til, that is Til Kashta Mahisha Bandhana, and this was a story of a battle to baffle. So there was definitely a battle which was going to happen, a battle between Pundit Shahane and Tenali Rama, but Tenali Raman did not allow the battle to take place. Before that, he said something which totally baffled Pundit Shahane, and he accepted defeat even before the fight began. So that is the wit, that is the intelligence of Tenali Raman. So wasn't this a beautiful story, children? And a story with a lot of moral also. Now let us move on and let us look at some exercises from the story. Okay, and of course after he said all this, the king was extremely happy, and he said the Pandit got scared when he heard such a complicated name, and the king was very happy and he rewarded Tenali Raman handsomely. Now come on, let's move on and do some exercises. So there are a lot of exercises here based on vocabulary, that is about meaning, about using the words into sentences of your own, etc. So let us see. So the first exercise is you have to read the words and use them in sentences of your own. So first, to use the words in sentences of your own, children, you will have to know what the meaning of the words are. So the first exercise here for you is you pause the video for some time and open the dictionary and find out the meaning of these words first, and then we will think about using them in sentences. Okay, so I hope you have found the meaning of the words. Let's move on to use them in sentences. So renown, so someone is renowned means someone is very famous. So the chief guest at our annual function was a man of great renown, that is, he was a very famous person. The next is defiance. So to defy someone means to not obey someone. Okay, so in an act of defiance, the girl threw away the expensive toy. So it happens sometimes you get very angry and you throw something away or you destroy something, and your parents tell you not to do it, but you still do it in defiance. So you are disobeying someone when you are defying someone. Okay, the next word is exiled. So to exile someone means to send someone away from a particular place. For example, Lord Rama was exiled from his kingdom due to the wishes of his mother. Alright, so exile is used in a sentence here. The prince was exiled by his stepmother for 10 years. So in Hindi we say Desh Nikala. Then you have the next word, predicament. So what is predicament? Predicament means a difficult situation, a tricky situation. So the king turned to his minister to get him out of the predicament. Alright, now there are two more words in the textbook. One is diffident and the other one is benign. So as you already know the meanings of these two words, I would ask you to find out and write sentences on your own in the form of a homework. Alright, now let us look at the next exercise. So read the following phrase and use them in sentences of your own in proper form. So the first one is to voice something. Okay, the mother wanted to voice her fears but could not do so. Voice means to express. Alright, the next one is a tight corner. Birbal always managed to get himself out of a tight corner. A tight corner means a difficult situation. So here Tenali Raman also did the same thing, na? He managed to get himself out of a tight situation or a tight corner. The next one is to outwit. Birbal could outwit all the ministers in the palace. To outwit means to, you can say, defeat everyone in matters of intelligence. Okay, so Birbal could outwit all the other ministers. So all the other ministers were not as intelligent, or they did not have as much presence of mind as Birbal had. And the last one was to concede defeat. The captain had to concede defeat when his army began to turn back. So conceding defeat means what? To accept defeat. Like in this particular story, Shahane, Pundit Shahane, he accepted defeat. He conceded defeat. Alright. Now the next exercise on vocabulary is, you are supposed to pick out dialogues of Tenali Raman which prove that he had the following qualities. So which first quality did he have? The quality of wit and wisdom. So which dialogue of Tenali Raman shows you that he has got wit also and wisdom also? Now I have picked up the answer from my point of view. You can have your own answer also. You can think that no, some other dialogue is showing you that he had wit and wisdom. Okay, so see, so this is the Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana. So this is wit as well as wisdom. Why wit? Wit means, look at the funny name, Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana. And wisdom, why? Even though there is no scripture in the name of this, he has tied something up in a silken cloth and presented it in the form of a book or in the form of a scripture. The next one is self-confidence. So even the previous line, so this is Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana, can also be a sentence or a line which shows the confidence of Tenali Raman. Why? Because see, he has so much confidence on himself, the way he's saying this. Imagine if Pundit Shahane would have said, open the silk and show me what the book is. But he has got self-confidence. But I have picked up another line which says, let us begin by discussing the merits of Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana. So there is no book called Tilakashta Mahisha Bandhana, but he is telling him, come on, let us discuss the merits. So that shows his self-confidence. What about his politeness? Or who's a polite person? A polite person is a soft-spoken person. He is a person with a lot of manners. Okay, so when he says, I am at your service, your highness, your wish is my command, it shows that he is a very polite, a very humble person also. Now we come to the next quality, which is of humility or humbleness. So which line? Even this line shows you that he is humble. Okay, when he says, I am at your service, your highness, your wish is my command, it also shows that he is humble. But we pick up another line, your words of praise are my greatest reward, your highness. He says, that shows that he is extremely humble. So these were some exercises based on vocabulary. Now we have a few exercises based on grammar as well. That is exercises which are called as do as directed. So when you have a question which says do as directed, means each question has got a different grammar point. So if you look at each question, in that particular question, you are supposed to do as the question directs you to do. So you have a question about noun, then you can have another question on adjectives. So it depends and changes from question to question. But at the same time, they are saying, make sure you do not change the meaning and tense of the sentence. Now I have used it here because in almost all the sentences, you will have, all the questions, you will have this particular condition, that you are not supposed to change the meaning and the tense of the sentence. Okay, when I do an example, you will understand better. There are around 8 or 9 sentences here. I will do half of them and leave the remaining half for you to do. So let's take the first sentence here. Tenali Raman proved to be wittier than Pundit Shahane. You have to rewrite using as witty as. So you have to remove the wittier and you have to use as witty as. So if you look at it carefully, children, we have learned the different degrees of comparison, the positive degree, the comparative degree and the superlative degree. So in the question, they've used the comparative degree, wittier than. You have to use the positive degree, witty. And then of course there is the superlative degree, wittiest, which we are not supposed to do anything with in this particular question. So what are you doing? You're changing the sentence from that of a comparative degree to that of a positive degree. So let's see how I have done it. Pundit Shahane proved to be not as witty as Tenali Raman. Okay, Tenali Raman was much more wittier than Pundit Shahane. That means Pundit Shahane was not as witty as Tenali Raman. Okay, let's do the next one. So see the things which are written in purple here. that is the direction for each question. So do as directed. So in the first one, you're supposed to rewrite using as witty as. In the next one, let's see what the direction is. So Pundit Shahane has come here. He wishes to challenge all the Pundits in our kingdom. Now what is the direction? What are you directed to do here? You're supposed to combine the two sentences using so. So you have to use the word so in order to combine the two sentences. So let us see how we have done it. Pundit Shahane wishes to challenge all the Pundits in our kingdom, so he has come here. Is the idea clear to you now? See, in the first sentence we have changed the type of sentence from comparative to positive. In the second one we have used the word so. So we are doing as they have directed us to do. In each question the direction which they have given is different. Alright, let's see the next one. How can I discuss its merits? Make it assertive. So now, how can I discuss its merit is a question. Okay, so it is an interrogative sentence. Now you have to change this interrogative sentence into an assertive sentence. An assertive sentence means a sentence which is not exclamatory and which is not a question, which is not interrogative. So come on, let's see how to write it. So I have written, I cannot discuss its merits. How can I discuss its merits? Means I am not capable of discussing its merit. But remember, you have to maintain the tense also. The tense cannot be changed. Alright, let's look at the next one. I have not read that scripture. You are supposed to rewrite using unaware. So what have I written? I am unaware of that scripture. Alright, so here what were the instructions which were given to us? In the first question we had to make something assertive, and in the second question we were supposed to rewrite using unaware. So see, we have done as they have directed us to do. That is why these questions are called as do as directed. Okay, now let us look at the next one also. Your words of praise are my greatest reward. You have to begin the sentence with no other. Alright, so that is the instruction for you here in this particular question. So let us see the answer. No other reward is as great as your words of praise. Meaning is the same, greatest, and here you have written no other reward is as great as your words of praise. Alright, so now here also we have done one thing which we did in the first question. We changed the degree of comparison from superlative to positive. There what we had done, wittier was in comparative, we changed it to witty in the positive. Here greatest is superlative, we have changed it to great in the positive. And let us look at the last example here. The remaining three I will leave it to you to do as assignment. I am proud of you. Rewrite using the noun form of the underlined word. Now which is the underlined word? It is proud. Okay, so I have pride in you. What is the noun form of proud? Proud is an adjective. What is its noun form? It is pride. Okay, so I have used pride here and I say I have pride in you. Now you have three more sentences there. You have to change one into indirect speech. You have to punctuate one sentence and you have to punctuate the last one also. So these punctuation is very simple, and direct and indirect we have almost seen a chapter on passive speech and active speech. So direct and indirect, if you know this active passive, you will be able to solve questions on direct and indirect also. Alright, so this was about the grammar. Now there is one interesting question about a quotation which is related to this particular lesson. So let us see what the quotation is. So you are supposed to understand the quotation and expand it in paragraph format. So what is the quotation? The quotation is this: pride goes on a horseback but returns on foot. It means pride, it takes off like an aeroplane but it crashes. It doesn't have a good end. Alright, pride goes on a horseback means when it starts, it is at full speed, but then it has to come back on foot, it has to come walking back towards the place where it started from. And what is the meaning of this? We can say that in the proverb, pride goes on horseback but returns on foot. Pride denotes a person who is occupied by self-respect. Now, self-respect all of us should have, okay, but it should not go beyond a particular point. It should not go to such a point that we start feeling that no one else around us deserves respect and only I deserve respect. Whereas going on a horseback means the status the person has acquired. So a proud person may have a lot of money, he may have a lot of richness, he might be very proud of his money, he might be very proud of his fame, but very soon, one fine day, he will return on foot, means he will lose all that he has gained. So whenever you are, even if you are very rich, even if you are very famous, you should never be proud, you should never be vain. That is what this quotation teaches us. Alright, so children, after understanding this quotation, we have come to the end of this chapter for today. So let us quickly recall what all things we have done in this particular lesson. So we did this lesson in two parts. In the first part, we did a little bit of warming up part and we did half of the story. In the second part, we did the complete story, that is, we looked at how the story of the battle to Baffle ends. We saw how Pundit Shahane, who's so proud of himself and who's got so much of self-respect and he thinks that no one else is better than him, how he has to accept defeat, he has to concede defeat and hang his head in shame and walk away from the court of King Krishnadevaraya. After that, we did a number of exercises in vocabulary, children. We talked about how to read the words and how to use them in sentences. We also talked about how to make sentences out of phrases. Okay, and we also picked out certain dialogues of Tenali Raman which proved that he had qualities of wit and wisdom, self-confidence, politeness and humility in him. And we also did exercises in grammar where we changed the, you can say, degree of comparison of a sentence. We combined certain sentences using so, and we also changed the type of sentence, that is, we changed a interrogative sentence into an assertive sentence, and so many other interesting things. Alright, so this is all in this lesson 4.5, a battle to baffle. Hope you understood the story, hope you enjoyed the story, and also you learned from the story that you should never be too proud. Alright, and also hope you understood the grammar and vocabulary points in the lesson. So that is all, children. Thank you so much. So children, wasn't that a very interesting lesson? I'm sure you learnt a lot of new things in this lesson. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my video so that you will get to see all the videos which I keep posting regularly.